Hello and welcome to Cupcake Addiction's Giant Rose Bouquet Cupcake tutorial, where I'll be showing you how to decorate this giant cupcake to look like a beautiful bouquet of roses. If you're not familiar with baking and making giant cupcakes, we do have an entire series where we show you how to make the giant patty pan that the cupcake is sitting in, as well as baking the giant cupcake, layering it, crumb coating it, and getting it ready for basically what you see here, the decoration stage. Please make sure you do refer back to these if you'd like any help with getting your giant cupcake to this stage. Tools and equipment that we will be using today. I'm going to go with disposable piping bags. I just find them a little bit easier to work with when I'm using multiple colours. I've got 4 different colours of pre-coloured buttercream frosting. We do have a tutorial on perfectly pipeable buttercream frosting, so if you have a look at the consistency of our buttercream frosting, it is quite thick and really easy to pipe. It will hold its shape and it'll give us that lovely rose effect. I've gone with a few Shabby Chic colours. I'm going with a bit of an apricot, a pink, a white and a pale yellow. I've got some spoons so that I can use that to put the icing into my piping bags. I've got the Wilton 2D piping tip. It's actually called the 2D. So you can buy this at most cake decorating shops. The 1M will also work, but the 2D is my personal favourite. So you can see the end of it there. It's a open star sort of a nozzle. But that is the key to getting our beautiful rose swirls. I've also got one of our fondant ribbon roses. We have a tutorial on how to make those. That's just going to be to decorate the top. And I have a couple of fondant leaves. We also have a tutorial on how to make those. So I have 2 of those. Let's get started. As I mentioned, I've pre-filled one of these piping bags with a little bit of the yellow, but just to show you how I fill the piping bag, I've got my disposable piping bag and I've got my nozzle. Now I've just snipped a little bit off the end, just using some kitchen scissors. You don't want to take too much. You want to make sure that your nozzle's going to sit nicely in the bottom of that bag without falling through. You can see there it's just poking through just the end. The bag's not actually covering up any of our beautiful little star points. It's letting them come through, but then it's not at risk of popping the nozzle through if we apply a bit of pressure. To fill that bag, I'm going to take my apricot coloured frosting, open the bag up. The disposal ones are generally quite firm and you can just hold them. And I'm just going to spoon that icing in. Use my finger just to take it off the spoon so we don't make too much of a mess. I'll pop a couple of spoons of that in. There we go. Lovely. All right. To get started, as I mentioned, I want to use 4 colours of frosting on this particular rose bouquet so that it looks like a bouquet of shabby, vintagey sort of looking roses. So I'm just going to, I've got my giant cupcake on a turntable. If you don't have a turntable, that's okay, but you do want something that you're going to be able to move it around a little bit. So maybe pop it on a placemat or something that you can turn the whole placemat, or on a chopping board, so you can really get that cupcake to move around and you can get a good idea of what the different sides are looking like. You don't end up with a messy back. I always like to start on top for my first swirl. Now to make a rose swirl, you are basically taking that beautiful 2D tip. The tip does most of the work for you. So you start in the center and you just swirl around and taper off at the end. So have a look at that. That is a beautiful looking rose and it's so simple and easy to do. Like I said, the tip does all the work. So because I know I want 4 colours, I'm just going to scatter a few of those lovely apricot roses around, some on the edge, but making sure that I'm leaving enough room for those other colours. You do want to make sure that you are getting it on the edge of the cupcake, but don't let them hang down over the edge because those bits of icing will actually fall off the cupcake. So you can see here I start the swirls that are on the edge about 1 centimetre or 2 up. That's the middle of the swirl. And then I swirl it around and just don't let it hang over the edge. Finish it off there. All right, so that's a few nice little apricot swirls. We'll take some of our pale yellow. And I'm going to just add some pale yellow roses. You can see how easy it is. And once we finish this cupcake, you'll see how, turn that around, you'll see how beautiful this turns out. And the effect that you get for the amount of time involved decorating is absolutely fantastic. Now, your roses don't all have to be the same size. You can do some smaller ones, you can do some bigger ones. Might just do a really little one here, just because we can. Now, knowing that I've got 2 colours left, I just want to make sure there's not any big spaces like this one here, because we're only going to put another 2 colours in there. So I might put another yellow rose just in the centre there. Beautiful. So you can see there, I've got enough room for my next 2 colours. Okay, so I've just done a bit of a colour change in my piping bags. I've actually used new disposable piping bags. I have 2 of these 2D piping tips, but if you only have 1, bear in mind you'll have to do your roses 1 colour at a time. And I would suggest starting at the lightest colour. So start with your white, then you can add a little bit of yellow to it to make the yellow roses. Then you can add a little bit of orange to that to make the apricot and make some pink on the side. I should also mention that I've used about 1.5 cups of each colour. That's what I've got in these bowls, is about 1.5 cups. So about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of each colour, and you'll have a little bit left over, but you won't come up short. So I'm going to move on now to my pink, and same thing. I'm just going to fill in some of these gaps. If you do get any little tiny holes like that, just put in a tiny little one. I love this colour combination. I think it's so dainty. Don't be afraid to make your roses not quite circular if you need them to fit into a tight spot. Now I'm running out of space here, so I'm going to switch to my white just to make sure I get a few of those white roses in. A couple of little tiny mini ones. Making sure that we are covering those edges. I think this will be my last one down here. Alright, so you can see there, that is really resembling a bouquet of roses, something that a bride might carry. And I'm going to finish it off by just popping a beautiful ribbon rose in the top there, and a couple of leaves. That is one of my all-time favourite giant cupcakes. If you're enjoying our tutorials, please make sure that you do subscribe to our channel. We upload new tutorials every week, and we've got lots of great new ones coming up, and we're always on top of what's going on in the cupcake, cake and cake pop decorating world. Thanks so much for watching.